And welcome back again, people, to another review from your boy Lucas Nagier as we bring you another review of Power Book 4 Force. First, before we get into anything, what's going on, my guy?
What's up, sir? Good to be back here with you doing what we do best.
Oh, man. And thank you all for last week for commenting, correcting, and doing everything y'all always do to make the job fun, especially that special commenter who decided to say something about Liliana and then decided to erase their comment when they realized they were wrong. You know what? We love self creation. Correction. My bad. Self-correction.
They got you right there.
Great time. Look here, I've been drinking and we've been watching this amazing episode. So we're going to get into it. Force, episode 3. This one is called Fire Starter. Now, as anything with Power, at times it starts off in a way just to join the last 2 episodes. Here we get the start of Tommy discovering the rest of the drugs that Liliana had held. We kind of thought these drugs were from the Serbs, but clearly they still have not cleared up here where she got these drugs from. But we see the amount of drugs she got here. What'd you think when Tommy was pulling all of those bricks out and him even saying, like, this is over $30,000 in product? Somebody got to be coming looking for this.
Man, listen, Liliana definitely proved her keep in terms of working with Tommy. But yeah, she has a hell of a lot of drugs, and that is a hell of a lot of problems that she is running from. So whether it's the Serbs, whether it's the Jimenez cartel, whatever everybody's predicting, somebody's after her, and that's why Tommy is rightfully so asking her over and over and over, who does this belong to, and who are you running from? Because this is a little problematic, and that's why we kind of see him acquiring her services, understanding her worth, but also kind of still being a little distant. I mean, I even felt some type of way where he was kind of like, hey, you should roll. Because Tommy's not really that type of person when it comes to women. Like, I don't think he's necessarily attracted to Claudia, but he understands the worth there. And he obviously has said he's not attracted to Liliana, but he understands his worth there. But he was very, very much clear on you should probably leave, which is a smart move. Very smart move, because you don't want her laying her head there knowing that somebody is after her. She is paranoid.
Hey, it's clearly somebody trying to kill you, baby. You could be anywhere in the world, but you can't be here. He should have just hit her with that line and ended it right there. But a quick jump from Tommy and Liliana is we get Vic bailing out his gang. Now, this seemed like a throwaway thing until you get to the end and we see the cop, the dirty cop, Detective Cephas, the only nigga since 1920 to be named Cephas.
No, Seamus, but either way.
Cephas, same damn thing. It's not a nigga in the world.
He's going to be called Dirty Cop. That's what he gets.
That's his going to be named Dirty Cop. But we see the setup of it all. We see from the first episode when he was harassing Diamond to now that he actually works for the Flynns. And part of him harassing Diamond is part of Walter's plan for everything. When you saw this guy come up, because I know we talked about it, would he be a clean cop? Would he go Detective Rodriguez route? Greg Knox route? We was wondering what type of cop he would be for the Power universe. I think it kind of threw us a curveball because we've actually not seen too much of a cop within an organization. Yeah. But still feeling that he is independent. Yeah. What you thought about Dirty Cop? Because that's going to be his name for the rest of ever is Dirty Cop.
Right before that, I said, all right, Simon getting out of jail. All right, this seems pretty standard. Paulie getting locked up. Huh?
Yeah.
Excuse me? That seems a little... I would love to know what they got into. But Seamus will no longer be named. That will just be called Dirty Cop here. So folks, we already name dropped him, so just let it go. I'm still a little off with this because it's clear that, and I think it has a lot to do with Vic, because I think we're still discovering Vic's hierarchy within the system. Like, Vic is paying the money, Vic is calling the shot, but no one respects him because everyone says you're daddy's little boy. So is this a deal that Vic has made underneath his dad, or did his dad order him to do so? And does any of that matter because the cop only respects Walter? is the thing. But here's the other thing. What I think, based on everything in this episode, Vic is doing his family a solid. He says, hey, you do this. But Walter doesn't know who it actually is, because at this point now, it's safe to say that Walter has a racist bone in his body. He doesn't do work with blacks. He is forever name dropping or alluding to races. And then we already see this the whole his whole approach with Claudia. The sexism with that.
We gonna definitely get into that later on, because that is some wild shit to do that to your own daughter. But you're right. As Kanye said, Walter doesn't care about black people. It's clear in this episode, he lets it be known he does not care about black people. But what's also interesting in this part, and I'm gonna have you comment on, and just have the audience think about it too. We actually get name dropped that it's an alderman who's actually causing these problems. Now, what makes this important is alderman is not things you hear in a lot of cities. You kind of only hear about it in Chicago and New York, of aldermen who have this much power to create an issue for anybody. What do you think about that setup? Because that right there, pieced together, when he said you don't have a cop issue, you have an alderman issue. That to me was a dope setup for it being based in Chicago.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was like, oh, okay then. So, yeah, I think we'll talk a little bit more once we get to Claudia's involvement a little bit later. But yeah, I definitely was kind of like, oh, this is definitely different, you know. So I like it. Bring on the entertainment.
Exactly. But next up, we get the brothers meeting up again. JD, Tommy, Granny's house, and JP. I'm sorry, I said
I got
JP.
you, brother.
JP, because you know they're gonna get on me. They be like, he keep on calling him JP. You damn right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna let you know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep on calling it. JP feels more natural for me. But JP brings up an interesting question here, or Tommy brings up an interesting question, I should say, as he's fixing up his grandma's house.
Yeah.
And Tommy asks, who's paying her bills?
Yeah.
And we never get a clear answer for JP to say, well, maybe she has some type of trust set up.
Yeah.
The point we don't get a clear answer about that question has me wondering exactly who is paying for this and how will it affect both of these two moving forward.
There's a couple of questions to be asked about finances here. Number one, I will give JP a little bit of credit here. For him to be in financial debt and not to care how that's happening is a good thing. And I know people are going to say like, what? Why? Because if he did care, he probably would have a little bit of a conflict issue here in terms of, you know, shaving money off some direction to settle his 100 and what? What is he? A lot of money.
125,682.27
Good thing about this is that you bring that up. He's good with numbers. For him to know that
off the top of his head,
very analytical and precise thing, which tells me that he has some morale to him, but he just is falling on trouble. So like, it's crazy to say this because I'm really not a big advocate of this, but Tommy loaning family money in this case is actually a good thing because it seems like a person that actually will use it the right way. And you know why it is a little bit of a liability for Tommy, because whenever somebody's in debt, especially when it's your brother, that can sway a lot of your decisions as well too. So it's a lot to make here. So for again, Tommy helping JP out, I like it. Could be a liability for Tommy. JP, I think, is a deserving person because I think he's just down on his luck. Obviously, he keeps getting hit up. The bar isn't really helping him and whatnot. And everything about his story seems really like, it seems very novel. Like you like noble. You just seem like, you know what? I like this guy. But in terms of who's paying their grandmother's finances, do she have a trust and whatnot? I hope it's just the fact that she was just prepared to take care of herself. I really am not interested in it being some other story arc of like,
oh man,
dun dun dun, somebody's really coming in. I know. I mean, it's not going to be Kate, right?
We all know who's paying for the grandmother here. It's not even a secret. Ghost put her in his will, and Ghost is paying for Tommy's grandmother.
I mean, listen. Listen, I
Oh,
wasn't gonna say it because I was gonna read it once we post this review. Because you know.
Hey, you already know Ghost is paying for it. That's what everybody in the Power universe is. The moment they said, "Well, who's paying it?" They're like, "It's Ghost. Ghost from that island that he's at, where he's not dead with Tupac and Elvis. He up here paying for grandma's nursing home charges and everything."
Yep.
But what also did you think about the correlation between this and the next scene? Because you said we see with the mindset of JP and Tommy, of Tommy basically telling him, like, when you need money, why does it matter where it come from? Next thing we know, we get the CBI brothers, and they have almost the identical conversation about why does it matter where money comes from if the money is going to do good. We don't get these setups a lot in Power, especially these correlations, because we haven't had this opportunity to get it when it pertains to two groups of men that are at completely different points of their lives. But what do you think about just that quick correlation? Because it's a quick scene. The moment we get JP and Tommy talk about it, we get the CBI brothers talking about it, and it's the exact same issue with money, and it shows the morals difference between the brothers.
I tell you, I'd be lying if I told you that I picked up on that, because I didn't.
Shit!
I was already thinking so forward about them wanting to make changes within the community that I was like, oh, that's different. We haven't really seen a bunch of gangsters saying, "Hey, let's dump money back into the community of Chicago."
Hold up. Oh, okay. If I say you said Chicago, I'm not gonna let you get off of that on Power now, because we had the Queen's Child Project. We had the Queen's Child's Project for 5 years. It never got off the ground. But Ghost was definitely putting it back in the community.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, I was very much like attached to the idea, like, hey, they want to put out a baseball field, and considering the historic nature of baseball coming from out of that city. I thought, I was like, hey, you know what? That's a dope idea to clean some money and whatnot. But that you bring that up, I think that it's great, because in this episode we did see a lot of like duos being created or alliances being created. So we are seeing that while some folks may have the same common interests, people actually got different ways of going about it. And I think this is just another example of saying, like, hey, we can work together, but also we got different ways about going about it. And obviously there's some hostility with the two of them in terms of this, but now that you put it together, it is interesting that they did it like that.
Hey, that was the first thing that popped into my head as watching this episode. And the moment JP and Tommy's conversation end, and we pick up on the CBI brothers conversation, and damn near word for word, they're saying the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And it's in reverse. It's just not the brother you would expect it to be. You didn't expect Diamond to be the one with morals when he says, no, let's do something good for the community. Like, that's a hell of a line to pull off in this type of show, because it's clearly drawing a line between the two brothers and what their mindsets are on how to proceed with everything. Yeah. And I know at first we kind of possibly thought that maybe Diamond and Tommy's mindset align more together, but from this short conversation, that clearly is not the case.
Not at all. I mean, again, I think it's just another example of how two folks can have the same goal, but just have different ways of going about it. And I think that's a lot of what we get with Tom. I don't think no one vision. I'm sorry. No, I don't think no one's way of achieving their goals is actually verbatimly aligned with what Tommy is. Tommy is just very unique in how he pursues anything. And again, while you may have both the same end game, Tommy just does it his way, and while everybody's loving this whole thing with Diamond and Tommy from the previous episode, at some point we're going to get some conflict between the two of them. And even this episode, you start to think like hostility, not yet, but at some point I think there will be a little bit of friction in terms of like their ideology about how they're going forward with things. So, we'll see.
And next up, after the cut is done, and Liliana, after Liliana, who I'm just saying, like, the moment she started undressing, and Tommy's like, hey, I don't even like you like that. But for her to even say, no, this is how we do the cut. After the cut is done, and we finally get, I think, one of the biggest and most important elements and parts of this episode. was when Tommy pulls out the map to tell us how the city of Chicago is broken down.
Yep.
What the CBI boys run, what the Flynn's run. Liliana even pointing out, finally, because we kind of wondered it from the first couple episodes, the product that the Flynn's move and why they were so against move other things when she says they only move pills. They don't do anything else. And just from that breakdown, and then from Tommy breaking down the city map and deciding like this is the route to go. While these two control the north and the south side, it's a big part in the middle where no one's really controlling anything. This is our opportunity to take over the city. This is something we have not seen Tommy do in the Power universe. We've never seen him truly break down how to control a block. Even when he ran one, he ran it off of Ghost's plans. What was your thoughts when you saw Tommy break down that map, break down the city with Liliana on this is how we can get our foot in the door?
Yeah, we had this conversation on our last review about the differences between New York and Chicago, blocks and boroughs. And we also, as I very much expressed, the idea of like the possibilities of all the different crews in this city. But I never thought that when it came down and all said and done, that the only two that was truly established was CBI and the Flynn's. I thought there may be a couple of more popping up. So that means everybody's in disarray and dysfunction. And as he said, everything's up for grabs. So I did love how they specified, you know, the blacks and the Latin crews were in the South, the West, and it's South and the West, and then the whites were up north. So yes, now we know exactly where we're going to get like a bunch of maybe stragglers and whatnot, maybe be aligned and whatnot. But either way, I just appreciate that Tommy was able to kind of just sit there and like really put things into perspective, because why it is important for Tommy, the character, and for the story. The other thing is it's also important for the crew, for the viewers, because now we understand why is he able to come into Chicago and make a complete difference right away. He got linked up with the two biggest crews right away. So therefore, he's able to do what he needs to do in this little other area. And again, the bigger crews, they're not so focused on these little crews because why? They're the top two heads.
Exactly.
No point.
I'm not worried about the little man's below us. Unless your come up is that magical that we need to take you down, we're clearly not going to be worried about you.
Funny thing is, Tommy sort of looked himself in the mirror when Diamond and Jannard was fighting, where he says, like, you know, always bet on the person who has nothing to lose. So that's you. That is you right now.
Exactly.
Taking over in Chicago. You have nothing to lose. You have nowhere to go and a lot to gain here. So bada bing. So
or even bigger, when our fake gangster Jeremiah says that he was betting on Jannard, and he says, well, you always bet on the smaller man. And the next words out of Tommy's mouth is, oh, I'm smaller than both of them. Like, he's basically letting you know, if you're saying that, just understand your bet and your move should be with me, because I'm smaller than both of them. That means I'm more cunning than both of them probably are.
Yeah.
But before we get to the big brothers fight here,
hold on. We gotta put a disclaimer really quick here. I mean, in the morning, these folks need their coffee. I don't drink coffee, so you know it doesn't.
Oh, that's what I was about to get. That's why. Good mindset. Because clearly I was going to bring up, don't get high on your own supply.
Yep.
The moment they say, "Hey, we out of coffee," but you know what? We got the next best pick me up. Let's take a bump, because we literally didn't we just have this in the last episode where Tommy said, "Hey, so is this his idea of actually testing the product?" When he said keep it small and you don't take a big bump, like the guy took a big bump in the last episode and passed out right afterwards.
So within 3 episodes, I think we are officially out of elementary school and can now graduate to the other thing. We done got the tutorial on display on exactly how to do it. And the moment you think you need to get a second one, you don't. You're done. One and done.
And then after this, the next conversation we have is between the CBI brothers in the boxing gym. This is before we get to the big moment they have in the gym, where Jannard basically lays out his issues. And his issues clearly is with his brother attempting to be a leader, his issues with Tommy, when he says, how long you gonna let this white boy live? If this was the old you'd have killed him by now, and we would have moved on from this. Now, granted, it is foreshadowing because we see it later on in the episode what happens, and we see by the end of this episode something big to get into, the way everything is set up moving forward. But here, in this moment, did you think the conflict was strictly about Tommy, or was it just a microcosm of every other issue that they have, and Tommy is just right now the key person of it, especially considering what he did for Gennard in the last episode and who he took out for both of them too in the last episode?
Yeah, that's a super good question. Also, I just wanted to really say, because I forgot for a second, do you think Liliana doubling down for that bump is going to be a liability going forward? She was so willing to go for it. Do you think that's going to cause a problem?
Well, she said in it that she cuts for lots of crews.
Okay.
I'm going to assume because she cuts for lots of crews, and please don't pull too much of, well, Luke clearly does blah, 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 blah. But when you cut for lots of crews, you tend to taste a lot of the product. Because the goal is to make sure what you're cutting is really good. So I'm assuming at this point, she done took enough of them little jumps where while it's going to get her up, it's not going to take her down.
Gotcha.
Not at this point. Especially when she said, we need to hurry up. I got to cut for another crew later on today.
Big facts. Yeah, but to your question, to me, I think jealousy is a very dangerous thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at times it seems to be Tommy. At times it seems to be power and organization and relevance. Because when somebody's frustrated, they tend to equip themselves with the ammunition of their frustration. So when he says, hey, I made us relevant and whatnot. Okay, so that seems like that you feel now that because you're not in the front, that all the work of relevancy and staying within relevancy now is going to go away because of how things may change, and because also what you felt that you had to do to become relevant is now become an afterthought because of how Diamond's thoughts about going forward does not align with yours. I think it's just a big ball of Gennard just not knowing his place right now, and while they are communicating, I absolutely think that there's a lot of love and trust between the brothers. That may be that may also come into play going forward. But as of right now, in this part of the episode, I'm like, you know what? This is some brother stuff right now. Like they're just trying to make it. Gennard just trying to show his worth and his keep. But I also think that he is using Tommy as a form of like possible jealousy. And also I think he thinks like, well, Diamond respects him, but he's also not really respecting all the work I put in and where I'm at now. So it's a lot, but it's very genuine in terms of like these feelings all coming from the stem of something. I don't think he's just reaching in all of these directions. I think there's genuinely something, like you said, microcosm. I can't even talk.
Microcosm. Yep.
Yeah. So,
but here you go. Let me throw this out there to you then, because could it be because we saw from when they were playing baseball? It's very simple. Diamond still feels like I gave you this position. Gennard feels like you may have given it to me, but I took this and ran with it. Like I'm the reason we're in the position that we are in now, not because you just gave it to me. And even later on in the episode, because I'll briefly get into it, while we won't get into exactly what happened until we get to that part, we clearly see him feeling like you're trying to stunt my growth.
Yeah,
you're my issue right now. And the reason you're my issue is because you'll always see me as your second. But if I'm running something, if I took over, if I'm 50 Cent and I ran stuff and it was your label before I got here, and all of a sudden I am the person on this label, I'm the dude running this, you can no longer push me to the side and just try to little bro me. That can't happen anymore. Mm-hmm. And I think that's their conflict. Diamond still wants to little bro Gennard, but Gennard's like, nah, we're not going that route right now.
Yeah.
And we saw that again from the baseball game until this moment here. From when he snapped at him, like, nah, this ain't gonna work like this. That's the situation of you getting tired of being little broed by somebody.
Yeah, and I also think Gennard thinks that, like, Diamond went into jail, found religion, and now don't pull that Buddha shit on me. He comes in with this whole new philosophy, and he's just like, all right, so now he thinks he's better than me. He thinks he's smarter than me. And I think on the other end, Diamond may say that Gennard may be a hothead and he may be immature and unfit to run operations going forward. So I don't know. There's like this issue, but it's not a big issue to me. I just think like different views again.
I'll say this. I'm waiting for people to pick up how close or similar, I should say, the storyline between these two brothers are to the movie South Central. From the leader goes in jail, the second takes over. The leader comes out, wants to be peaceful, wants to do things in a different way.
Yeah.
And the dude who's running it, like, that's not what we're doing. The way I've been running it is the way it's been working. Yeah. And that's Jannard's issue, is the way I've been running it is the way it's been working. Yeah. And we ain't fitting to go back just because you wanted to be on your Buddha loving bomb shit and be Mr. Peaceful all of a sudden.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there's a lot of adaptation issues going on in this episode.
It's hard being a little brother and taking over.
Yeah,
and big bro come home and he like, nah, this ain't gonna work. We gotta do this way. Little bro like, nah, we're gonna do it my way. But speaking of people being put in their place, the next part of the episode, the Flynns, Walter.
Oh wait, you gotta talk about the dirty cop spying on Diamond here.
I keep on forgetting about Cleophas. I'm gonna fuck up his name every time.
Dirty cop. Dirty cop. Listen, my question to you now is that, like, he's spying on Diamond. What's his end game here? Now we know he worked with the Flynns, but why do you want Diamond?
I think it's a chance for Walter to put him in check. We see Walter still has hatred for Diamond. We find out later in the episode he really, and we see why he has hatred for Diamond later on in the episode. So I think this is just foreshadowed of, like, he's willing to do whatever he can to get this dude back in jail.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a chance he sees him as a threat. He possibly sees Diamond as a threat that he never saw his brother as. Because again, it's a big difference between being a young guy who thinks this is the way I do business versus the older guy who's a thinker coming out. Because if he ever changes business in the next scene, when we talk about the Flynn's business and where the Flynn business is, what he can't have happen is them get bigger. Listen,
cause and effect. Somebody gets out of jail, numbers started purging. Wonder why?
Exactly. And that's the problem. That's why he's had this cop all of a sudden just harassing Diamond. From the moment he got out, he had him harassing Diamond. So him taking pictures here of it, not a big surprise. Because it's like, okay, this is just the grander play of things for them. And then we just need to find out what's the grander play of Walter with Diamond.
Yeah.
As we see him agree to do a meet later on in the episode, but then fuck up everything later on in the episode. But we'll get to that. But the next thing up is with Walter and his children. As we finally find out the Flint business is down 12%?
Yeah.
Which is fucking nuts to be down 12%. But then we find out Walter believes it's just because of the alderman, and the alderman that is causing him problems here. And he basically tells his daughter, we need you to go out, fuck this alderman, so our business can get back in key here. This, to me, was the ultimate disrespect for Claudia's mindset, that this is the first thing he said. When he said, wear something sexy and put a little sugar on it. He's basically telling you, you need to do whatever you can to fuck him to make sure our business gets back on track. And even from the struggle of the business being brought up and his reaction to her telling him this was telling, even down to him coughing and saying, I just got a touch of bronchitis, which normally means you have cancer. That's the way it normally goes. That's the way it normally works here. What do you think about this exchange between Walter, Claudia, and just the way Vic sat back? Because we kind of know how he respects his sister. And he understands what she can do.
Yeah, I mean, sexism again. Another episode, another display of sexism. I mean, Claudia is not a sex object. She's sexy for sure, but she's beyond that. She is the next one up. She has all the tools in the shed. She should conduct meetings. I do agree. But should she have to be preached about how to get what she needs? No, because she literally can get whatever she needs because it had already been said. So to me, this is like, all right, desperate times come for desperate measures. Get it. You need the big meeting, push it forward now. But then you start grooming it out like, okay, now look sexy. Vic should go, but no, because Vic is a guy, and also Vic probably isn't qualified for this type of meet. Maybe not. I'm not even going to put Vic down, but I know for sure if I was a betting person, I'm going with Claudia. But you're like, yeah. Wine, fancy dinner right on the River Walk or whatever that's called in Chicago.
Yeah.
She not hungry. She looks great. I mean, do they still use this word? He pimped his daughter out.
Yes, he did, and they still do, and he clearly did that. He understood that the ultimate will respond to sex, and instead of getting someone else, he decides, "You're sexy. You need to do it because you also know our business. You're also a Flynn, but I need you to do this." It's literally a way of saying, "I respect you enough to make you have sex with this man." Because you're going to keep your mouth shut and you're going to get our business back on track. Down to Vic saying, "Hey, forget this back and forth. Make him give us a hard number." Yeah. Like it's putting a lot of responsibility on her, but at the same time, showing that you're sexist. Yeah. It's a weird mix. But quick question for our audience: do you believe this is the most sexist thing that's happened to a female in a power universe? Because we've seen women go through hard times, whether it be Rock, whether it be Tasha, I'm not going to say Lakeisha, whether it be Holly, whether it be any of these multitude of women who are extremely strong characters, Lauren, Effie, all of them go through issues. Do you think this is the first time you ever felt like, wow, this is extremely sexist, that a woman has to be pimped this way for the family business?
Crazy, man. And look, she threw the ultimatum. We'll take our business to another war, but they can't. But also, I will say that along with them pushing pills, and I'll be the first to say that I thought they were, commanding docks and ports. I mean,
yeah, because we talked about it.
I'm wondering, because they say their business is legit. Are they connected to Big Pharma?
That's the best way to push pills. And to push pills at a volume where you're controlling that much of the market. It can't be just you hustling pills from corner to corner. Ain't enough house moms in Chicago to pimp pills that way. You have to be getting it extremely cheap and then selling it out to really control something. So, I mean, it works for them. But speaking of that, I do want to jump, because we're here with Claudia, I want to jump directly into, and we're going to backtrack later on for a couple other things to hit on, but I do want to get into the meeting with her and the alderman, just because it shows a correlation of the mindset of her father versus her own mindset here. And that whole setup from her understanding, like, hey, I'm not here to play games with you. I'm going to do to you what a male could do to you and have you respect me for it. From him basically saying, well, you eat pussy, I eat pussy, let's get together and like do this, or let's have sex. From him, for her pulling out her phone and talking about his daughter, and that veiled threat of saying, I would hate to see her uniform dirty, and then making him give her a straight answer. Did you feel that was complete vindication for her father sending her to that meeting that way?
Absolutely. This was an amazingly written scene in its entirety. And I love how it concluded. Absolutely. You took the words out of my mouth there on that one.
Now, I do have an interesting question here, though. Do you think it's going to be a backlash from this?
No.
Here's the thing, though. If the alderman ever brings this up to Walter, what would you like? To me, Walter would have a problem with this because that's not what he told his daughter to do.
Yes. Okay. Now that's a great question, because the reason I was going to say no is because when Vic went to go do the deal with the dude Colin that was DJing and whatnot, and they killed him, he was like, okay, cool. And he went on to the next thing with it. He basically said, it is what it is, I thought that was a sense of like, if the business, however do the business, if the business can be done, then do it. If you can't, then whatever, on to the next one. But you're right. It's Claudia. So it is going to have a different tone. So I think it will be interesting to know how Walter responds in sense of, yeah, she did it, but she didn't do it the way you wanted to do it. And I think that also makes for good television, because now we're going to be like, you're going to get the whole, like, I did what you, I did the goal. I got the goal done, but you didn't do it the way I want to do it. We see that time and time over again when people are giving instructions and take another way to get the answer. So
it's a classic plot point in most gangster films or stories, is you're going against my wishes. I gave you explicit directions of doing it this way. While we got to the same conclusion, because you didn't get the conclusion the way I wanted you to, we have a problem here.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that popped into my head. Granted, I know she got the job done and extremely well, but I also know she didn't get it done the way he wanted it done.
Yeah, she didn't. I mean, yeah, she didn't.
Which could, if you're looking at it from Walter's perspective, if there becomes blowback because of what you did, because what if the alderman flips and says you threatened my daughter? He didn't send her there to do that. It can create a problem.
Yeah.
That's hey, the first thing that popped in my head. Now, quick hits. These are things that I think are kind of straightforward. If it's something you think we should talk about, we can talk about it. Whether it be Tommy's meeting with Walter, I think it was kind of straightforward because it's kind of straightforward what he set up here. Tommy's whole goal was to set up the meet.
Yep. I think the only I want to add is, I want more Paulie on screen. I think he's fantastic, and I like the whole. I knew where he was going with Liliana, and I like how that little banter between the two of them and whatnot. It never really amounted to anything, but Paulie, I'm loving the character, and that was cool. But I mean, wait till we talk more about Paulie. So, but yeah.
Next quick hit: Tommy and Vic go on their little mission to one person, and the mission goes horribly wrong because the dude is high out his mind. I don't get what it is with the Flynn setting up meetings with high people and then thinking they're going to come out in positive outcomes here. Again, this is not something I thought was a big thing. It's a funny thing, but not necessarily a big thing.
Listen, Tony, the security guard, I don't know what you wasn't getting paid, but my man gave this dude calling up in a heartbeat. Hey, oh, no, you need to kill him? And no problem. Back elevator, get you down to the alley. There you go. My man said, I got a family. Here's the gun. That was a security guard, sir.
Hey, no, that was a man who made a business decision.
A bodyguard. Yes, he did.
He made a business decision. He said, you know what? I got 4 kids. You know who I'm not down for? This guy who's high out his mind, who's making things worse when he doesn't have to make things worse.
Hey, won't be surprised if we see him alongside of Tommy at some point.
Yeah. Hey, because I'm clearly wondering, how did Tommy get the drop on him with his gun? Because we get the gun shot in the air, which made no sense because he was high out of his mind. But then Fat Tony, as he called before Keto, Fat Tony didn't even move after Tommy.
Not at all. He already knew he wasn't about that for him. I don't blame him. him.
Hey, sometimes your coked up boss just got to go. It doesn't work out well for us. Now we get to the biggest part of the episode, possibly the biggest part of the season, and that is the meetup. And during this meetup, we get what some of the issues Walter has are with Diamond, Diamond's issues with Walter, and just the way Chicago moves. This whole conversation, without me going into detail, because I do want to know what you fully thought about it, because I thought this was some of the best written things we've gotten from Power, not just in this episode, but overall. And it could be because these actors killed this setup, killed this role. From the discussion of Walter saying how he believes that Diamond did something that Diamond is very adamant that he had no part of doing, to Walter killing 9 of his men in retaliation for it. And Diamond, because he's a man of morals, decided not to respond to it, but decided to pull his people back because he didn't want to lose any of his people over a lie. What did you think just about this whole setup and about Tommy finally realizing the way Chicago works?
History lessons, folks. It is a lot of racism going on in Chicago. That's the first thing right now. So obviously I don't know too much about this, but I knew when Walter declared that he wanted to get all of the coat, unify all of the coat.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was an interesting statement, because I said, well, wait a minute. You want to unify something you don't even sell.
Exactly.
This doesn't sounds like at all this benefits no one else but yourself. You're getting in on it, and I understand that you're saying like, well, we'll let them come in our areas and whatnot, or we'll take ownership, or however they're going to do it. It's change at the border or whatever, et cetera, et cetera. But I was like, interesting that he would make that call, but it is a lot to really unravel with all of this. First of all, the setup was dope. We now know what the bar is used for. That
there you go.
Yeah, I think. I mean, do we call it a safe house to some extent? I mean, I don't know, but it's paid security, good food, obviously, and that's where the big meetings go down. So we know that like this is going to be the iconic spot for the duration of the season and maybe beyond. But with that, there's a couple of things. I'm gonna focus on Diamond, and I'll let you get in there. So Diamond goes to jail for something he didn't do. And the thing he didn't do that he served the time for happens to be that he beat down Paulie's wife and gave her a lot of stitches, and he had to spend a lot of money on reconstruction surgery. And Paulie was still kind of calm, cool, and collective about all of this. I mean, there was a little bit of a temper flare, but I thought that was important too, that we see that, wait a minute, Paulie's at this meeting and not Claudia? Wait a minute.
Exactly.
Wait a minute. But you know, as you said, a black man being locked up here innocently, that's a normal thing. And he's very adamant about saying that he didn't do it. But the other thing I want to say, and I'll give it to you, is that, well, what was this perception of CBI? You lost 9 people and you all didn't do anything. So you respected Diamond's decision, but who didn't? Who had the animosity towards him not making the clap back? Because that is always a thing. And I think
I think you're getting there.
I think Jannard knows that too. So
there you go.
So but yeah, what about you? What's your take with Flynn, or with the Flynns, Paulie being there, but more or less Vic and his position in all of this?
We see why Vic feels the way he does with Gloria. How he feels like, I need to change this. I need to take over, because if we go back to the first episode, when Vic says, well, when you go, well, the second episode, I think, if I'm not mistaken, second episode, when Vic says, when you go, I get to run things. And for Walter saying, no, you don't get to change anything. This is why Vic wants to change things, because Vic is the party who doesn't care about race. He sees money as the thing to get. But here with Walter, it's clearly always going to be about race, because I don't think he gives a goddamn about what happened with Paulie's wife. I think he just doesn't like black people. It's very simple here. That's all it is. But he gives a reason why he doesn't. As he said, we can't do business with them because what the Italians will think, what the Greeks will think, if we're seen doing business with black people. Like, he's adamant in laying out his issue with ever doing anything with them, and why he killed them. And we see again, as you pointed out, this is Jannard's issue. He killed 9 of our people. Then you went to jail for something we didn't do. How the hell will I respect you? I think, see, right here is where it morphed from us thinking it was just 2 brothers having a disagreement and the kind of a power struggle. Here it showed, oh no, it's not that. This was a respect issue. And I know for people saying anything, I know we skipped over the fight, but I wanted to get to this before we got to the fight, because this one, to me, reveals something that happens in a fight that we found out at the end of the episode. So I want to combine those 2 together, because it's highly important, because this scene here revealed way more than I thought it would. But it's no longer a situation about being a power struggle. It's a respect issue. I no longer think Jannard at all respects Diamond. I don't think he respected him when he went to jail. And I damn sure think he hates him, and he does not respect him now. Because he's seeing the same mindset that landed you in jail, that led to 9 of our soldiers being killed. It's the same mindset you have. You can't have that mindset and be a leader of anything, because eventually the wolves behind you will eat you. Because how can I trust you? That was a hell of a thing to set up here in this episode, for them to have that type of conversation, and for it to be revealed that Walter only had that meeting to fuck with Diamond. He had that meeting only to fuck with Diamond. He give a goddamn. He never wanted to move anything with him. It was never even an option for him. But he wanted to mess with Diamond.
It was all for just a huge fall of all of that. Listen, I gotta give it to Tommy Luther King on this lovely February Black History Month of 2022. He tried to end segregation in one meeting. That's a lot to ask for. It's a lot. but TLK, he was that close. But Walter from the Confederate South was not having it. Just so you know.
Hey, I'm surprised he didn't use it with the hard R. That's all I was waiting for. Because he clearly. But what do you also think just about the situation with Paulie? Because if we're talking about it, that means. But again, does Walter actually believe Paulie, or he just used that as an excuse to do it?
Wow, I didn't think about that. I am very much interested. Hopefully, we get a chance to talk to the actor who plays Paulie. I keep forgetting his name. Everyone gives him such high regard. I am interested to really learning more about this character. Yes. I said it the first time we seen him on screen that I believe that this will be the most interesting character going forward. And then by the end of the first episode, we started to say, whoa, what's his background? Because he's moving in a very militant way, but also he's not a Flynn, but he's aligned as if he is. He is, exactly. And when I say that, we know, like, you know, as Walter always says, we're Flynns. He throws it around because he knows the name holds power. But then you have Paulie right there, and you have him at potentially one of your biggest meetings of so shall I say this season, but one of his biggest meetings in terms of their organization going forward. Mm-hmm. And Paulie's right there, not Claudia. So that says a lot, because it could have just been Vic. It literally could have just been Vic. Mm-hmm. But as you said, is he using him, or does he actually respect him in the hierarchy that he has to be there? It wasn't a security thing, because there was no I mean, Paulie is security, but like obviously they roll with a lot more people. So what? And then as we seen when Tommy was at the house, they had everybody out. So
exactly.
This was interesting. So I don't know. That's a good question. Is he just using him as an excuse, or does he respect him and need him there? Because he needs to be a part of these things.
And again, I'm saying we're gonna definitely get back to the CBI brothers here, but we got to talk about this also. While Claudia wasn't at the meeting, she clearly was in the vicinity of the meeting, as after the meeting, she has her meet up with Tommy.
Yeah.
Like, that is very interesting.
Listen, I got to do it for the Power fans real quick. And I quickly looked up Guy Van Swearingen, who plays Paulie. Got to put some respect on him. He's doing a fantastic job. And I'm in love with the character, and I want to see more. Listen, because you know I got to do my reaching thing real quick. Now, when you saw that Mercedes G-Wagon, you know, you was just like, oh shit, now I know that ain't who is that. Monet rolling up, Monet coming back for was that Monet rolling up looking for Tommy? She about to return her debt from the grave sea. So but I liked how that was done. Claudia being aware of the meeting, not actually inviting. I mean, that shit's fucked up too. Like, was that a whole, hey, sit outside and wait for us moment?
Exactly. Or was that her following them and saying, I need to find out what they're doing? Because she knew who they were meeting with. So she knew she needed to have a conversation with Tommy.
Yeah. So is that who Tommy saw in his rearview mirror?
Yes.
Okay, so she went around, she just circled around because we see her then coming. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. That was cool.
Because at first it looked like the setup was he saw the cops.
Yeah.
The two, and we're not discussing them yet because there's not enough to discuss them at all. This is the first time.
There's one thing to add. Two things to add to that. Well, we are now understand that, like, the streets is hot. We've seen a lot of cops rolling in the second episode, but now we know that cops are definitely staking out the big dogs. So you got one after CBI, and now you got these two other alias people zooming in on the Flynns. Well, Tommy may be victim of circumstance here, wrong place at the wrong time, because now they may say like, oh, well, who's this guy that is now with the Flynns? Is he a part of them or what may be? But yes, it is nothing else to add. But again, I think this is just really the understanding that, like, the streets are hot, cops are out looking. You don't even got to be doing. They're not doing anything. They're meeting at a bar. But why are the cops looking into them? Because the streets are hot. That's what it is. So we'll see what that means going forward.
And that means the cops would have to know this is a place where the Flynns meet.
Yeah.
So then how safe is this bar if the cops know this is where you go when the Flynn's have a meeting here. It builds questions about things, especially since the first thing they did was connect Tommy to the Flynn's because Tommy's white. That's it. That's literally the only reason they connected him to the Flynn's is because he's white. Again, in a city full of racial profiling, you racial profiled the other white boy. They say clearly he's with the Flynn's because he can't be with Diamond and CBI. Like, it's a very interesting setup there. But again, the bigger thing was for me was Claudia and the setup at the end. And how did she know about this meeting? Because clearly she was not invited to this meeting because she's not invited into family business that way. But for her to then meet Tommy and basically tell Tommy, I have this new drug, this same drug that we found out in the first episode that she's constantly talking about. She's like, I got this drug that will blow your mind. Like, that was a very interesting setup. I love that them two met up in that moment. And then Claudia cut him off that way, as he said, look at you rolling up on me that way.
Like an OG out here.
Yeah, exactly. That was a hell of a big move for her to pull off that way.
Yeah.
And I really did like it. But let's backtrack to the biggest moment for most people of this episode is going to be the fight for leadership in CBI. In this corner, we have Diamond. Next corner, we have Jannard. I had a bigger question, though. You being the MMA guy. The moment Fake Gangster, because that's going to be his name, because I refuse. Fake Gangster, the moment he said, all right, now with the legs, and the look on Tommy's face like, what?
Let the legs fly. Yeah. Listen, two things for me here. Jannard already had a black eye before they got into the ring.
Yep.
What happened there? I would love to know that. But
no, he got a black eye from the last episode.
Did he have it earlier? I swear I did not see that. Yeah,
he had it from the last episode. He had it on him at the baseball diamond too.
I did not even. I guess I was looking at his fit. That's the first thing I was like, all right, cool.
When they were at the ring in their first discussion about Tommy, he had the black eye then.
Gotcha. But look, I'll say this for anybody who doesn't watch MMA. I mean, one, I was very excited for the scene. This is something I said in the interviews that I noticed that they had some combat sport training because Jannard's walking around with cauliflower ear, and as he said, I may have to use my MMA skills. So I kind of was anticipating that when Diamond, who we know as the boxer, would go against somebody, or two of them may go against someone, but not against each other. So we have a battle of different styles here. I would tell you that for folks who don't watch MMA, the moment that Jannard wanted to bring in some kicks, everybody's reaction is just like Tommy's, like, wait, what? Like, nah, we don't do that. But I think it was cool. And I thought the choreography was great between the two of them, and they were really laying it on each other. But the biggest thing to take from out of that is that Jannard is saying essentially that he let up.
Yep.
And that he took a beating for a higher cause here. Well, that's an interesting tactic, but we know where eventually the goal is, but like for him to take on that type of beating, shall we say his brother's best punch, what does that mean for a round two that may be coming about? Because I'm pretty sure they're going to tangle up again at some point.
Keep in mind, when he landed that kick, Diamond was out on his feet.
Oh, 100%. And I like
Jannard could have ended it. Jannard could have ended it right there.
Yeah.
Because there's not a quick recovery from that. For people who don't know, once you get hit there, it's not a quick recovery.
Yeah.
And he knew it. And that's why he was letting them know, oh, this is what you're feeling right now.
You ready to tap out, brother?
Exactly.
The nervous system has some questions right now,
But if he was really going out to beat his brother, I'm not even giving you the warning about tapping out. I can take you out right here. So I found it interesting, even before the end of the episode when it was revealed that he did let up. I found it very interesting that he even talked to him in that moment, because we saw when Diamond did the reverse, Diamond didn't hold back anything.
Yeah,
he kept on going. Only time he held back is at the end when he realized, I finally got you down.
I like that, and I'm big on the idea of like, if there's issues between us, especially if we cool or we brothers, let's fight it out, and then we dap each other afterwards. It's respect. You gotta let off some steam sometimes. So I like that. But what I think is interesting here is that I like how they're building Diamond to be the superior one of the brothers, and we finally see Jannard get one up in a very tactical way that proves for what he wants to do. Because we all, as we know now, we'll just say Diamond's the leader, Diamond's smarter, he's bigger, he's stronger, you know, and all sorts of different things. But then you're like, well, Jannard's just clearly just a little brother, the hothead that just wants to be, you know, on top of everything. Cool, yes, that's very easy storytelling. But now we're starting to see that Jannard has other ways in order to prove that he can hang toe to toe with, you know, all these set attributes that were given to Diamond. So it was interesting, and I'd be curious to see where they go again with this going forward. So that should be fun.
Hey, as Jannard says at the end of the episode with Jeremiah, when Jeremiah says, you know, this is going to split CBI, and Jannard says, the bigger play is, in the end, they'll all come to me.
Yeah,
I think he understands that Diamond has to be the lead, because if something happens, I need him to take the fall again. I think we got to see the bigger play here, and I think that's his bigger play. Is in the end, if something happens, because of his moral compass, Diamond will take the fall. And if he takes it again, at that point, Jannard is going to rule with an iron fist over everything. I'm just waiting for them to fully show us exactly how he ruled when Diamond was away.
Yeah.
Because that plays a hell of a lot of dividends. We kind of see hints of it from Diamond being mad that Jannard had the young shooters because they just spray everything. But for them young shooters to be in line with everything Jannard wants to do, that says a lot.
Yeah.
So I love a part when you get someone who plays dumb and turns out to be a lot smarter.
That's what I've been trying to say. Yeah.
And that's what Jannard did here, because he understood a bigger picture. This is what makes power good, is when people understand the bigger picture. It ain't always about who wins first. It's never about that. But you say it all the time in wrestling, you won the battle, but you lost the war.
Or, I mean, you want the good guy to win because you want to see you want the bad guy to win because you want to see the good guy run the chase. It's a better story to tell like that.
Exactly.
You know? So can we talk about the last thing of the episode now?
Of course.
All right, let's get to the last part here. We got Mai and Claudia. Mai, who Claudia met in the club, who has the party designer drug, and looks like they're opening up shop. They're going into business with one another. Now, this seems very like okay, cool, that's the fact. Let's roll out. There's a little bit of a tweak to this here. Well, Mai's established because it seems not only was Claudia interested in her, but Mai was sort of targeting her because she knew she was a Flynn and she knew the possibilities of what this could mean for distribution going forward. So they see interest in one another. So where did Mai come from? Who did she roll with? You know, where did she get and we understand where she got this from, and she has a lot of it, but who was she with? Kind of always got to think about connections here, since, you know, Chicago is just a big mixing pot of crews and whatnot. But as I said, there's new alliances being formed. Claudia and Mai. Then you have Liliana and Tommy. Then you got this, potential relationship between Tommy and Claudia.
Yeah, there you go.
And Claudia's like, hey, stick around. This is Chicago. Welcome to Chicago. It's his official welcome party. Yes. And look, Tommy said exactly what I thought he was going to say. He gave her respect. He said, whatever you were doing, you definitely should have been there. That's well aware where you should be at, you know? So he understands the dynamic here.
Hey, also get into a connection possibly between Tommy and Vic. Because clearly Vic completely agrees with Tommy's point of view on the way the city should be run. Yeah. So it's almost setting up that the only obstacle in their way, in the way of Vic, in the way of Claudia, in the way of Tommy, and in the way of Diamond, is Walter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who, as we know, is damn near on his deathbed at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you gotta wonder moving forward, how will we deal with the old guard on this show versus the new guard? Because that's going to be the difference.
Well, as they always say, the earth shall reclaim. So wait it out. But hey, listen, why this seems like that's the story arc for this season. And I just want to also paraphrase again what Tommy was saying to Claudia. He says, wherever he has you is nowhere where you should be. As I always say, Tommy is always going to put on for his women, and he's always
at all times.
Yeah, listen. I don't know how many times I got to say this, but Tommy Luther King out here trying to end segregation, sexism, and racism all in one episode here. But I do think that
well, hold up. Sexism, except for when it came to Liliana, he didn't get no goddamn about oppressing her. This whole episode.
Look, keep giving her duty. He just not trying to sexualize her. That's all that is. But why this seems like
he hit her with a 70-30 split on her product, Joe.
You're right about that. See, there you go. Women want equal pay, man.
Exactly.
Listen, you're right about that. That's still an ongoing problem. Why this does seem like the overall story arc of everybody versus Walter Flynn? Nah. Let's go back to the beginning of the episode here. As it was asked 3 times in this episode, where the hell did you get these drugs from? Somebody coming into town, and I'm gonna keep screaming it that I believe it's the Serbs. I feel other people are saying the Jimenez cartel. I mean, he brought up Jason.
I was about to bring that up. It's a name drop that we left out, and that was him saying, "This is what Jason told me." That's a very interesting thing right there to bring up.
Yep. So somebody coming into town, they're not going to be too happy. As he keeps flicking the car, he's going to want to know, like,
So the question is, are we going to get someone from the Power universe that we know of that's going to come in for these drugs?
Oh man, I can't believe we didn't bring this up. But Cheers to Ghost was a very, very powerful scene for the fan service, shall I say? Not powerful in anything in particular, just a very good moment. And I think it also gave Tommy trust within Liliana by her respect for him, because he still obviously is affected by that. And Tommy's past is always going to keep haunting him. And why did I bring that up right now? Because I again do not think that the old laundry list is done. So that's why I keep saying this these Serbs and those folks may be making a return, because that's the theme of this show thus far, is that Tommy cannot escape his past. Therefore, in now 3 episodes now, you're starting to think, well, what's going to happen going forward? Because things are only going to get bigger, better, more explosive, and more deaths. You got to bring in some heavy hitters then. And you got to think, what unfinished business did Tommy and Ghost leave on the table?
Exactly.
That's where you start to predict, saying, well, there is the thing with Homeboy and Callie. Now you bring name dropping Jason, and then it's just a lot of possibilities. I don't want to theorize. I'll let you all do so in the comments with further predictions. But I'm sticking hard on my prediction, and I'm curious to see where it goes beyond that. And I gotta say, before I can shut up after this, Gloria is damn fine. Tommy knows how to pick them, and I'm out.
Hey.
Oh, and remember we brought up saying that we thought she was Jamaican, or could she possibly be Jamaican?
Yeah.
When Vic bought her mom the headstone, her mom headstone says the daughter of Jamaica, which I don't know if you can kind of do the DNA thing here. It's like, oh, that makes her part Jamaican, folks. So
hey, we knew from the food she was cooking in that damn. Hey, man! Look, you know the Power people. She was Ghost sister, so you already know how they was going at it, man.
Yeah, but Gloria, man, bad. I liked her whole fit the entire episode.
Even at the end, that was a hell of a fit at the end.
Yes, it was. I was like, why are we zooming on this damn train? Like, go back in the room, man.
Hey, it's it's all symbolism there. The train going down the tracks, zooming down. Come on. You've seen enough movies where you fully understood what they were doing. Yeah. But hey, thank you all again for checking out us with another review of Power Book 4. This one is called Fire Starter. Now you can check this out and any of our other reviews for the Power Universe immediately following the airing of episode, which is normally 3 a.m. 1 a.m. somewhere around
Sir.
1 a.m.
We're on at 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You know what it is. Jump on the Stars app. Don't be late. 12 p.m.
Okay, I was trying to give some credence to the West Coast people. That's why I said 3 a.m. Just in case they offer there, they can see.
Other way, 9.
3 a.m.
It's the other way. 9 for them. Remember, we're going back.
But do they show? Oh shit! I've never been on the West Coast to see this episode.
Actually, I haven't either, so I can't even lie and tell you what it is. So yeah, you're right. I have no clue. I think it is though, but I don't know. I'll be in LA in a little bit, so we'll see. But you know what it is. Power comes on 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Stars app. Our review recap will be available immediately after. As always, you know what it is. Jump in the comments. Let us know everything that we did wrong, said wrong, that you don't like about us, and then after that, I'm just going to come down and heart it all because we love you. But no, seriously, we appreciate all of the love and support, the feedback, the conversations, the theories, all that good stuff. Drop it in the comments, and we'll be back each and every week with more recaps of Power. The only place you want to check your recaps at, right here. Thank you for tuning in.